Alright, now we're going to get ready to heat form this on our stove. Before we do that, we have to get our jig all set. So here we've got our 1x6x4, that's 1 inch by 6 inches by 4 feet piece of pine. And what we need to do is, we need to take 2 other pieces of 1 inch pine, cut them. You know, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches is fine. I think I did 1 inch by 2 inches for these. It doesn't really matter. And you cut them and they're going to go on the bottom. And I just have 1 screw in each one. And what that does is, that raises this end up. And we're going to lay the pipe under there when it's heated up, and we're going to step on this to flatten it and taper it the way we need to for it to bend correctly. This is a very, very important part to have. You can't do this without a jig like this. I've got an electric stove. It's red hot, ready to roll here. I think electric stoves are by far the best way to do this. If you have a stove that has flames, that's okay. You just have to be more careful you don't burn this, because it tends to want to burn the PVC. The last thing you want is burning PVC indoors. Gives off some chemicals as it is, just melting it, but it's not that bad. But anyway, I've got all the windows in the whole house open. No one else is here right now, so I have to worry about them bringing this in. I've got all the ceiling fans on. If you were doing this, you'd have the range fan on for your stove also. I can't, because you can't hear the video if I'm doing that. But just so you know, you have to worry about these fumes. So here we go. We're going to heat this from our center mark right there on down all the way to the tip. And here's how we do it. Make sure you've got your gloves. I hold this and hover it about maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch over this, right in the center. And then I slowly turn it like you're roasting a marshmallow. And then I also spin it and slide it towards me while I do it. You don't want any one section to be near this burner too long, because it'll soften at an uneven rate, number one, or number two, you'll start to burn it. It'll start to turn yellow first. And if you touch it to the burner by accident, which happens, it'll burn just a little spot. That's no big deal. It's not ruined because that's happened. I've done that a bunch of times. The end of it tends to not want to soften up as fast as the rest, so usually the ends need special treatment. You need to do the end a little bit more. And now we're going to start to work our way down, sliding it back away from me as I slowly rotate it. We're going to heat the whole end of the bow this way, and what you'll see is it'll start to get flexible, a little bit flexible, and then it'll start to expand and look puffy. You know, like a marshmallow gets bigger when you roast it? That's how you know it's starting to work. And you'll be able to smush it with your fingers. Oh, there we go. So now it's starting to get wiggly. Just a little bit. When the whole thing is easily squeezed all the way between your fingers, that's when we're ready to put this in our jig. Okay, here we go. Get in the jig. We're going to line this up as straight as we can and put the jig on it, even with the end of that handle. There it is. I want to hurry up and get some weight on it. I'm going to step on it. Okay. So if you have a tile floor or wood floor, you don't want to do this on it. You want there to be as little texture on the floor as possible, because any texture on the floor is going to translate over to this PVC pipe now, and it might ruin the finish on a hardwood floor because it's so hot. So these linoleum tiles are no big deal. Got a little bit of texture, but it's not going to be that noticeable, especially after we paint it. And I just keep on spreading my weight along it, make sure I smush that end, that tip down enough. It's got to be totally flat. And you're going to have to stand on here for about 5 minutes for it to cool enough so you can take your weight off of it and it won't bounce back to a pipe. That is a good taper. Alright, look at this. There's our center point. Pipe's full diameter still. And we're tapered the top side. You know, when we laid it down, our marks were facing up, so we tapered the top. The bottom's still the same. Look at that nice taper to the end. You can see that's totally compressed. That is perfect. It's not exactly totally straight. That's not a big deal. We can always fix it later if we want to. A little bit of heat, we can adjust it. Now we're going to cool it under cold running water. However the bow is when it hits the cold water is how it's going to stay. Just real quick, just fully cool it. Beautiful. That's all we need. All right, we're going to do the other side. We're going to heat the other side. And we make sure that when we lay it in our jig that, again, the print is facing up. That way we taper both sides, because the side you're writing on is going to end up being the belly of the bow. And what I mean by that is it's the part that when you hold it, it's facing you. And the part that's on the floor is going to be the back of the bow that bends in this direction. So you have to make sure you taper the same side on each end of this bow here. All right, now we've got our whole bow tapered on both sides. So here's one. Gorgeous. Here's the other one. Gorgeous again. Now we're going to do our handle. So we just want to heat this 3-inch section in between these two lines here on each side of our center point. So if we put the whole thing over the burner, too much will heat up. It'll start to destroy the beginning of our taper we worked so hard on. So we're going to hold it to the edge, and we're just going to rotate it. Again, like roasting marshmallow. About an inch from the edge of the coils here. That, you know, saves your hands too. You're not going to burn the heck out of your hands. So keep rotating it that way. It's not going to start to burn. This will be a lot quicker than it was to do the tapering, because it's just a small concentrated area we're heating now. It's already getting flexible, so that's good. It's not ready to be smushed yet. Alright, good. So we're going to move over to the counter. So you want the bow straight now, and we are going to lay it again with the markers, our markings facing up, and we're just going to smush inside on either end of that handle here. On each side of that C, we're going to smush it on the sides. Get this closer here. See if you can see better now. So what this does is it's going to make it a little bit more comfortable to hold the bow. Make a little handle area here. Right where those lines are. And as it begins to cool, it gets harder and harder to push it in. You just want to try to maintain that shape the best you can. You also want to try to keep the ends of the bow straight, because they're going to want to wiggle. Now is a good time to try to straighten the bow while you're holding this in position. Take your eyes and look at each end and try to eyeball it, see if it looks like it's straight. But again, it can be fixed later. Again, we can adjust it. You can always adjust this anytime you want. And I'll show you what we just did. So now that's what it looks like. And that's what you get from the side. That is the handle now. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it looks good. It's good to me. Cool it. Alright, now it's going nowhere. Excellent. Just take your towel, dry it off. Alright, cool. Now we're ready to make the notches.